internet humans, it's your girl Keeks here, and today I'm going to talk about my vinyl collection. I started collecting vinyl in June of this year, so it's a fairly recent hobby. Currently I own 33 records. I pretty much exclusively listen to albums, and I generally don't listen to just songs by themselves, so I really like the format of vinyl. I'm going to pull out and say the name and album title of all of them, and then I'll add some notes about any of the ones I have something to say about. At the end of the video, I'm going to pick out my top 5 of the ones that I own, and I'll talk a little bit more in depth about those. So the very first record I'm going to talk about before I go through this entire stack is the record on my record player, and that is Bloom by Beach House. Bloom has been a favorite of mine since 2013. My friend Chris and I went to Barnes & Noble and because he wanted to pick it up on CD, and I heard it for the first time in his car, and it's just stuck with me ever since. I've actually covered the first song from the album. It's called Myth on my channel already, so if you're interested, then it's in the covers playlist. Monastic Living by Parquet Courts. Eye Contact by Gang Gang Dance. It's All Around You by Tortoise. Dots and Loops by Stereolab. Harry and Lowell by Sufjan Stevens. Do It by Clinic. Anything in Return by Toro y Moi. Our Endless Numbered Days by Iron and Wine. Young Prayer by Panda Bear. Rainwater Cassette Exchange by Deer Hunter. Belindigan by Animal Collective. Pinkerton by Weezer. Mezzanine by Massive Attack. The internet hails it as the most erotic album of all time. It's a trip-hop staple. If you know or like any of the albums that I already mentioned, you probably already know about Mezzanine too. Prospect Hummer by Animal Collective. For most of the Animal Collective albums, there is an EP that goes along with it, and this one goes along with Sung Tongs. Legend by Bob Marley. It's sort of a greatest hits of Bob Marley and the Wailers. My family used to play this album a lot when I was a kid and when we would cook dinner together, so I just have really fond memories of it, and I wanted to immortalize that by having it on vinyl. Strawberry Jam by Animal Collective, which contains one of my favorite songs of all time, Fireworks. Animal Collective is easily, and not arguably, my favorite band of all time. I was very, very happy to find this in store. What For by Toro y Moi. My favorite song from this album is the last track. It's called Yeah Right. Eureka by Jim O'Rourke. It has a pretty funny cover, but I would recommend that pretty much anybody ever listen to this album if you can appreciate snarky lyricism, if you can appreciate good instrumentation, good production. Sometimes me and my friends call this Eureka instead of Eureka because I feel like it embodies me. Vacatomist by Grizzly Bear. I'm not sure if I'm saying the title right because I don't think anyone knows if they're saying the title right, but this is easily in my top 5 albums of all time. It is beautiful, it is soaring at parts, it is lush. Every song on this album is a masterpiece. Down There by A.V. Terror. He is one of the members of Animal Collective. He made this album after he went through a divorce. It's also one of the saddest albums in my collection, but it is an absolute bop. This album doesn't have a designated name. Some people just call it Untitled, some people call it brackets or parentheses. It's by Sigur Rós. There are no English lyrics in this. They're actually sung in a made-up language. This is another Animal Collective record. It's Transverse Temporal Gyrus. This record was actually not produced in a normal way by the band. They used a program that sort of like procedurally generated the music from a bunch of samples and stems that they put into the program. This is Mew classic, hipster staple, everyone knows it. April from Parks and Rec's favorite album, In the Airplane Over the Sea by Neutral Milk Hotel. If you haven't heard it, you need to listen to it. I have nothing to say about this album that hasn't already been said. Mirrored by Battles. Battles is one of the most fucking awesome, inventive math rock bands I've ever heard. And I also love their album Gloss Drop. Battles fucking rules. Abysma by Geotic, and the back has a hollow print of the name Abysma. He says that he likes dance music, but he likes listening to dance music alone in his house or in his car, and it doesn't really fit because he doesn't like being in crowds. So he made music for that situation, for being at home, listening to dance music in your car or at your house. It's passive, but it still holds my attention, and it's awesome for hanging out with friends. In Our Heads by Hot Chip. My favorite song from this album is Flutes. I absolutely love Hot Chip. Okay, so there's still a few more left in my collection. I'm going to talk about my favorites from all the ones that I own. This is by the band Floral. It's their first EP and their second EP, and both EPs are pressed onto a side of the vinyl. Floral is a pretty unknown math rock band, and they're one of the most phenomenal math rock bands I've heard. They fucking jam. The Ultimate Care 2 by Matmos. It's an absolute banger. If you're open to listening to music that's experimental or you want to broaden your horizons or just listen to something completely out of left field, then I would absolutely recommend this to you. Instead of being called sides A and B, the sides on this are called Wash and Rinse, which I think is really funny considering it's entirely sampled from a washing machine. Color by Katie Gately. It was one of the first albums by a woman that I heard that was legitimately strange and scary. And last, but certainly not least, is my Tomboy box set. It's definitely my favorite album of all the Animal Collective solo works, although Deacon's Sleep Cycle is also pretty phenomenal. The expanded edition, it has the expanded album on 2 records, single mixes, instrumentals, and acapellas. It has a matte finish, and it's really super thick because it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 records in it, and it's easily my favorite thing in my entire collection. I love Tomboy. I love every second of this album. I hold this album really close to my heart. Just as a note, I'm only talking about the records that I myself have purchased. The other ones on this were not purchased by me, so I'm not talking about them. If you want to look at my full collection, you can check out my Discogs account, which I'll link in the description. And if you want to see what I'm listening to, then you can check out my Last.fm account, which is also linked in the description. Alright, that's all for this video. If you like this, then smash that subscribe button, smash that like button, leave me a comment, and recommend me an album if you feel like it. Bye! I wanna love ya and treat you right. I wanna love ya every day and every night. We'll be together with the roof right overhead. We'll share a shelter of my single bed. Is this love? Is this love? Is this love? Is this love what I'm feeling? I'm willing and able, so I put my cards on the table. I wanna love ya, love and treat you right. I would recommend this album to pretty much anybody.